Hey everyone, I'm Carmelia Ray, celebrity matchmaker and relationship expert. I've been in the dating business for over 30 years, and I'm really excited to be introducing Neil into my practice and into the world of getting to know singles. And now you're gonna have the opportunity to potentially work with Neil to learn more about your personality. So Neil, let's share with everybody what the heck this PPA evaluation is. I've been using it, and since using it with my clients and myself, it's been a real game changer.
Yeah, Carm, thanks for having me. Welcome. And the PPA is interesting. So the PPA stands for personality, it stands for personology, and it stands for astrology. So that's the PPA. And what we do, this program we have, which I've created over the better part of 14 years, I've studied over 2,000 people. I've tested over 1,000 people. So what we do is we start with a personality assessment test. And that personality assessment test tests for the moral compass. So it's very similar to the Hexaco or the Big Five. And we test for the dark triad as well. So we got two different personality assessments. One takes about 8 to 10 minutes. The other one takes 15 minutes or so. And then that is the foundation of the personality side of the assessment.
Is the personality and psychology kind of into one?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, okay. And then there's a new term out there called personology.
Yep.
And that's sort of like a holistic approach. So what encompasses the personology part?
Okay, so the personology side of this is, there's general astrology out there which looks at the 12 different signs, right? Your Pisces, your Aries, Cancer, and so forth, Leos and Capricorns and all that stuff. And that stuff's great, but it's just very general and very broad. So what I've done is I've looked at the actual day that they're born, and I've correlated with the personality assessments. People born on the same birthday actually answer the two personality assessments the exact same way. So what we do then is we look at the exact day that you're born, and then we give you data specific to that day. So it's not about Pisces or Aries or Capricorn. It's about, let's say you're born June 15th, or you're born July 15th, or July 12th, or December 1st. I have data based on their personality. Then I've correlated that data based on the day they were born, which is the personology side of it.
That's the personology. Okay,
Yeah.
But then where's the astrology part?
Yeah, so I do have a database of astrology as well, and I will layer that in because now you're getting more general things, which is fine. So I'll incorporate that as well too. So just to give more data, right? So it's just more information. It's not as specific as I'd like because you're dealing with the signs where there's 30 days of Pisces, for example, or 31 days of Pisces, or there's 30 days of Aquarius, whatever. It's just really broad. And I want to get really granular and layered into the nuance and the details of the person. But I will use astrology just as a guide, just to give me more value, more data as well, to help provide for the client.
Is that the database of, you said about 20,000,
Yeah,
like 20, a bigger database from the astrology part?
That's the personology side of it.
The personology.
Yeah, the database.
Oh yes, but the personology is like taking the specific day that you're born and year that you're born versus all Aries born in the month of March to this, you all have the same traits. Whereas in this case, he's taking the day that you were born, the year that you were born, and incorporating that.
Well, and also too, what makes this different from even astrology or personology is I have the personality assessments. So in the personality assessments, we test for what's called the dark triad. The dark triad is narcissism, machiavellianism, and psychoticism. We test for those three things, and there's a score there. And that tells me things like, for narcissism, how self-centered you are, how egotistical you are, how unaware you are, right? For the narcissism.
How vain you are.
Well, then we go into the subsections of vanity, authority, entitlement, superiority, exploitation, and self-sufficiency. So we test for those within the narcissism. And then within the Machiavellianism, we test for cunning and manipulative, and we can tell, we can tell if someone's been bullied or so forth, or they've been cheated on. And then within the Hexaco side of it, we test for honesty and humility and extroversion and patience and conscientiousness, prudence, and so forth. So it's not just, we're not just looking at the stars and looking at the birthday. We actually have the granular data of the personalities based on the 2 quizzes. Then we correlate that with the birthday, and they actually happen to say the same thing. But so we're looking at the person from multiple different angles. So it's not just personality, it's not just personology, it's not just astrology, it's all the above layered in with my experience of seeing these patterns.
Right, and what's interesting in the way that Neil conducts this assessment and the way that he has compiled all of this information is that once we do that assessment, you can have your scores. However, the real coaching or the real magic comes in knowing that you have these inherent traits, and how do you now navigate and operate and behave with people who have differing traits, right? Including, what is the actual definition? What does it mean to have high exhibitionism versus low exhibitionism? What does it mean to be highly exploitative versus not exploitative at all? And then every personality trait and every trait can be viewed as good and bad, or effective and ineffective, right? What works, what doesn't work. And that's where the coaching comes in, where somebody who can help you understand yourself. Because one thing to say, okay, so I am voyeuristic, or I'm an exhibitionist, and what does that mean? And who should I look for? And how do I explain that to somebody, right? So for me, I really love the fact that having these really in-depth insights into now who I am, I understand now why I might be uncomfortable when somebody is behaving different from who I am naturally. And also I understand why now through my PPA evaluation, I'm drawn to certain men or drawn to certain partnerships, and where it could be limiting. Right? It's about expanding yourself, and when you're more aware, then you can make choices based on the fact that, okay, I have these characteristics. Am I best suited to date this person? Am I best suited to be involved in a project where the majority of these people have these kinds of traits? And also, if I'm high in leadership or high in superiority or authoritativeness, where can that have conflict, and where is that a good thing to have? Because sometimes if you've got 2 super authoritative people, Neil, authoritative female, authoritative male, one can assume that maybe in the workplace that's great, but how does that work in the bedroom, and how does that work in your love life? Any comments?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of information there. So what we want to do is 4 things. You got to know yourself. So at the end of the day, you have to know who you are. And knowing yourself, everyone thinks that, hey, I know myself, and I know. We really actually don't have the ability to look ourselves in the mirror and really understand ourselves, because we've never not been ourselves, right? So what this does is it allows an objective assessment of who you are as opposed to who you think you are. And there's just data, it's just facts, it's not personal. So we want to know yourself first, and that's going to allow you to understand your strengths and weaknesses, good and bad. Then you want to understand that other people are different, you want to know other people. So when you know your scores, the other scores, knowing other people's scores that are different from yours or similar to yours, now you can look at other people and say, okay, I know who those people are, because their scores are what their scores are. Then we want to master yourself. The ability for you to know your strengths and weaknesses and be able to control yourself and not lose your temper, not lose patience, not get angry, not be as judgmental, and really understand who you are. And that's mastering yourself. And the last one is mastering other people, where if you're in a relationship, you get to change your behavior to make your partner feel more comfortable. So having this sort of data, and the best part of the quiz is you answer the quiz. It's in your words, you answer the multiple choice, so it's your doing. The birthday stuff and the personology is just fact, it's just data. So it allows you to feel that you're not being judged, and it allows you to feel that It's just who you are, to accept yourself for who you are. And there's no changing. There's no there's nothing wrong with you. There's no healing yourself, or you're not broken. You just need a better understanding of who you are. And then that understanding allows you to be the best version of yourself for yourself. And then allows you to be the best version of yourself for your partner. And your partner is the best version of themselves for themselves, and then for you as well. So it's just more awareness, more knowledge, more understanding, and less judgment.
Yeah, I'll give one example of a score that I already know. Is I'm very high in a score called emotionality. I think it was 100% in emotionality. So what does that mean, Neil, for anyone who's listening?
Yeah, so emotionality is not emotional. Emotionality is the ability for other people to feel emotion when they're around you. So the idea of, quote unquote, the Russian supermodel is very cold. So when you're around the Russian, quote unquote, supermodel, you don't feel like she likes you. You feel very cold. She's cold towards you. So you're interpreting that the feeling that she's not interested in you, or she doesn't like you. It's a very cold feeling. When you have high emotionality, it's the opposite. People feel very warm and comfortable around you quickly. And the ability to make other people feel warm allows us to better, work with those people, to better sell those people, to better connect with those people. So it's just, again, there's no good or bad. It's just whatever it is.
And see, had I known, or if I discovered, and it makes sense to me because I can see, and I'm in the people business, I'm in the relationship business, I'm in many intimate conversations with men and women about their love life, about their heartache, about their insecurities, about their, what works in the bedroom, sex. These are difficult conversations. So it really works for me to naturally have high emotionality. If I discovered that I was really low in emotionality, or let's say that I were dating someone that were very low in emotionality, perhaps this person, and there's other scores to consider, but perhaps this person might feel uncomfortable or intimidated or really strange that everybody seems to gravitate towards Carm and open up, and yet with me, nobody likes me, or it could seem like people are kind of standoffish. And it's not that it's good or bad, it's an observation, right? And so I could also, can I tone it down? Can I maybe allow space for someone to make a connection, or maybe knowing I have this trait that can work positively, how can I be someone that can share with others, or maybe teach somebody how to be more, how to be able to connect with someone better, right? So that's just an example of where I know that particular score. And so therefore I tend to want to gravitate to other people that make other people comfortable, right? And if someone's got resting bitch face, as an example, and that might be a sign, as he said, cold supermodel, that they're low emotionality, they're likely, I think that a behavior of low emotionality is someone that doesn't make eye contact, is more to themselves, asks less questions, because I also have a very high curiosity score, right? Was that a score, curiosity?
Okay, so Carm, so we went through your first personality assessments. We haven't gone through your personology yet, but we've gone through your personality assessments. We've gone through the dark triad and the hexaco scores. So what were some of the key takeaways for you personally with regards to either narcissism or either the hexaco scores? Like, what stood out to you that and again, a lot of it is, you're aware, but what maybe were you aware of that you knew, and then what maybe were you surprised with, and a takeaway from the personality assessments?
Yeah, you knew that I was surprised about certain traits that I was not even wrong about. It wasn't even a consideration. There's certain traits that we have, and there's not thousands, there's hundreds of personality traits, right? There's so many, 20 to 30 different synonyms to describe a certain trait or value. So having the definition, because one of the things you said is, let's read the definition of these traits so that I'm clear, because sometimes context is everything. We might think a personality trait means this, But so it's a great reminder for me to go back to what these traits actually mean, okay? The other thing is, what do they mean and how do they show up in behavior? So for me, I'm on automatic default. Breathing to me is breathing. I don't think about breathing, it's just involuntary. So in my personalities, my immediate reaction is to behave in the way that I'm described. And so where it was more enlightening is was validation that I know myself pretty well. Like I really know myself well because I've done a lot of personal development. I've done a lot of self-work. I've done a lot of personality traits. So it was nice to be validated that I'm self-aware. I know who I am. And interestingly enough, I'm also aware that I have traits that say that I'm unaware. Like I'm pretty naive, right? So I'm pretty naive in the trait, and that's my default. If someone says something to me, oh wow, cool. And so where could that be? And then I think to myself, where is that a benefit, and where might it cause me issues? Being naive is great, but it also can be problematic because in business, naivety is not something you want to be. You want to have whole knowledge. You want to do your due diligence. And therefore, I can put in place people in my life to support me in the areas where being that way could cause me issues. And if I'd say low insecurity or fearfulness, which is another high trait of mine, what can I do to put in place things that can help me overcome the traits that are not favorable for business or favorable for relationship? And then of course, just have an overall sense of knowing who I am. And if I'm reactive, if I'm triggered, now I know I'm triggered because this doesn't agree with me wholeheartedly. I don't agree with that behavior. I don't agree with that opinion. I don't have to agree. It's just what's so. So how do I move in those areas where I need to elevate, and and now if I have those people around me that I know are not good for me for whatever reason, because we have quite differing behaviors and quite differing thought patterns, because birds of a feather flock together, I'm going to be more aware of that, and it's going to be automatic to me to say, have a discussion about it, agree to disagree, or figure out a workaround. So that was the best part for me.
Yeah, and one of the things, if you're watching this, and we appreciate you tuning into this, the question is, well, why is this different than therapy? And hey, Coach Neil, we have a therapist. We don't need this. The thing with the therapist can only help you based on what you tell the therapist. They're not a mind reader. Even the best therapists they can only take what you tell them and then try to figure out who you are based on what you've told them. But if you go to a therapist and you say nothing, there's no information, they can't help you. Now, you might tell them things, but you may also not tell them things, whether it's voluntary or involuntary. With what I do is, not only do I have your personality assessments, which is the personality of the PPA, and we have the personology and the astrology, we match them together. So we actually work hand in hand with therapists. And we have several therapists that call us and say, here's the client we're going to see today. Here's our birthday. Give us insights. And then the therapist is now saved 6 or 7 sessions because you don't have to open up to the therapist because he now has that information. That's what we provide to that therapist. So we work hand in hand with the therapist or with other coaches because we give you insight, or we give them insight on your behalf that you wouldn't know.
Well, we didn't even talk about the health analysis, so let's talk about that. We also work hand in hand with medical doctors, naturopathic doctors, beauty experts, personal trainers, whatever it is. The health assessment is very comprehensive. Also have my results there. Also keenly aware, oh gosh, in my face, aware, I need to drink more water, unaware that this is, I need more sleep. However, having that in my face, knowing it, and then having a plan of action is really what's really great on the health assessment, and then being pointed to the right people to help me, better myself in all of those different areas. Because really the PPA evaluation in the context for my clients and now for you is to have health, wealth, happiness, all of that, more money, more time, more freedom, more peace of mind. you have the 4 pillars. What is that again?
Yeah, health, wealth, love, happiness.
There you go. The PPA evaluation will give you clarity in health, wealth, love, and happiness. It is now available to you. You can take the quizzes. However, if you want the assessment specifically from Neil, if you want the coaching and the follow-up and the ability to make it personal to you from people who have, from a person who's coached many different people, and now from my own experience of implementing those changes and surrounding myself with the right people, we want to share that with you, as it's made a big difference for many of our clients. So Neil, how can they
let's go back to the health. So the health part of the PPA, why this is tied in with the health, because your question is, well, what does health have to do with PPA, personology, or astrology? Well, in the research I found, testing personally over 1,000 people, studying over 2,000 people, people born on the same birthdays have the same health challenges. So health challenges being cardiac, heart issues, circulation, cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, or brain issues, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, stress, lack of sleep, headaches, or kidney liver functions, the endocrine system. So even skin issues, we found. People born on the same birthday share these same issues, and we've tested this. So you may not know that you have potentially, you're at risk of having heart issues. And we've had several of our clients who've worked with us based on their birthday. And what we've done is we've said, hey, you need to get a coronary calcium scan, which tests for the plaque in your arteries. And that's based on the birthdays, which they didn't know of. Or they're at risk of dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Maybe they're not sleeping. Maybe they have headaches due to stress. And we've actually suggested to them, with the guidance of their doctor, that they actually change how they work out or change some of their nutrition. One of the clients we spoke to a couple days ago, her birthday was in September, middle to late September. We realized that she actually is going to have problems with her digestion based on eating meat and dairy, and should probably go more to a macrobiotic diet. So based on the personality, based on the personology, based on the astrology, we can also give you some things for health. And they say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound in cure. The other thing we do too as well is mental health. And people born on the same birthdays, they struggle with the same mental health challenges, whether it's depression, anxiety, worrying, stress, addiction, drugs, alcohol, sex, food addiction, shopping addiction. So again, all these things tie back into, your therapist wouldn't know this about you unless you told them. Mm-hmm. But how would you tell your therapist that you have an addiction that you may not be aware of, or that you have certain issues? But that's where we come in to provide that data for you to then go back, whether we provide we suggest the health professionals to you or the medical professionals, but we have that data, and it allows you to now structure your life and seek the help that you might need.
Yeah, it's really comprehensive. We believe that everyone should have more knowledge of who they are, and then have knowledge of other people. So not only can you have this assessment for yourself, we invite you to have this assessment if you're coupled with your partner, with your children. I've had my children assessed, my mom, my brothers, they've gotten enlightened, my older brother and his wife, business partners. So everybody on my team has been assessed. Anybody that I can assess, I've assessed, and I've asked to be assessed, because it just gives more information. Just like your first name. I'm Carmelia, and I am Carmelia, all of me, and Neil is Neil with all of him. And I think you actually have a closer relationship, in my mind, a better interaction, more connection, when you can respect the fact that people are the way they are, and you can, dance with them in the right way, right? Maneuver in the right circles and put them in the right places, right? And just be really mindful of that. So we want you to have that. You can head on over to my website, carmeliaray.com/PPA. It's right on my site. And also you can go to Coach Neil.
Yeah, Coach.Neil.
Coach.Neil.
Let's dive more into the partner.
Oh, sure.
So with the partner assessment, you can either do it one of two ways. If you're single and you're dating many partners, or you're trying to find the right partner for you and you're trying to evaluate who that right match is going to be. So if Karma's giving you some different matches, or if you have some different matches already, you can contact us and we can give you insights into those people. We're not going to tell you right or wrong, good or bad. We're just going to give you insights and more data. So you can do that covertly by just giving us the birthday. And we'll be able to give you up to 15 to 20 pages, hours on data on who they are, how they think, what's important to them, how important is finances to them, how important is vanity to them. Do they want someone beautiful? What are their eating habits like? Any drug or addiction in their past? We can give you all that data covertly.
We are the dating secret ninja. We're the secret. Talk about the black book, okay? You've got the PPA black book, so that gives you an edge when you are dating. Not a manipulation, more insight. That way you know, and you can make you make a choice about that, and then maybe you'll see that behavior, and sometimes you don't see that behavior. So it's good for you to decide who you would like to invest in based on the data that we're giving.
Well, so then that's covert. You can do that. We can give you that data covertly. And that's what we call the cheat code, right? So if you're dating someone and you don't want them to know that you're doing research on them, you can actually come to us and we'll give you insights. And then we'll guide you on what to look for, what not to look for. We had a couple clients we worked with where the guy was really introverted and just needed a lot of alone time and very quiet, and she was the life of the party. And I basically informed her, hey, look, this is just who he is. It has nothing to do with you. He's not doing this to you. He's just doing him and you happen to be there. And she's now comfortable with when she comes home, she gives him a kiss and then, they connect, but he'll spend maybe 30 minutes decompressing on his own. It's nothing personal, but now that she's aware of that, she doesn't take offense to it.
Mm-hmm. We had another situation where a gentleman, a lot of times you'll see people, they'll complain about social media. Well, they do this on social media and they're very, show a lot of clothes and this and that, whatever. And they need a lot of attention. And it's like, they don't need attention. That's who they are. You think they need attention. They're just being themselves,
yeah.
Right? Which is somebody who posts pictures and comfortable in their exhibitionism. That's the score, right? So they if they could, they'd pose butt naked, but at least they got clothes on. And the thing is, it's not to you. They're being themselves. And a lot of times people make this assumption that a person's behaving a certain way because of, no, that's actually who they are. Now, do people behave a certain way because they try to follow the pack? And yeah, eventually, that's the cheat code. The cheat code is, this is what they're leading with, but this is who they really are. And now you can have that. So I want to make that available to you. We'll put the link here in the video and give yourself the access and opportunity to take your test scores and have a conversation with Neil about how you can use that to your advantage and to better your life, health, wealth, and money. So we hope that helps.